Prince George is a young boy who is part of a very famous family called the royal family. One day, he was given a very special and historic name, which people call a ceremonial title. This kind of name is very important because it is only saved for people who will grow up to be the King of England one day. When this happened, the people at the big palace sent out a very nice and shiny message to everyone in the world. This message talked about how important old rules are and how the royal family will keep going for a long, long time. It sounded like a very happy and sweet story about the future. But while everyone else was smiling and thinking about how nice it was for Prince George, something very different was happening behind the big, heavy doors of the palace. Even though everything looked perfect on the outside, there was a lot of sadness hidden away where no one could see it. Behind the scenes, Queen Camilla was feeling very, very sad. People say she was crying so hard that she could not stop herself from sobbing. It is important to know that she was not crying because she was mean or because she did not like Prince George. She thinks George is a good boy and that he deserves good things. The reason she was so upset was because of that special name or title George received. You see, Camilla truly believed in her heart that this special honor would one day be given to her own grandson. Her grandson's name is Freddie Parker Bowles. She had a dream that her own family would get to be a bigger part of the royal family. But the worst part was how she found out the dream was over. She did not get a phone call, and no one sat her down to tell her the news. She found out by reading the exact same message that everyone else in the world read on their phones and computers. There was no secret meeting or private talk between Camilla and her husband, King Charles. He did not give her a heads up or a warning to let her know what was coming. The big group of people who run the palace, whom some call the palace machinery, did not give her any special courtesy. This was very hurtful because Camilla has been part of that group for many, many years now. She felt like she was being told a very loud and clear message without anyone saying a single word. That message was that her own children and her own grandchildren are not really part of the official royal family. This is why the story is so complicated and why it makes people feel so many different things. It is not just about one name or one person being left out. It is about years of secret plans, promises that were never spoken out loud, and a big disagreement about how the royal family should look in the future. Everything came to a head on one very difficult and tough afternoon, but before we look at all the details of what happened, we should take a step back in time. To understand why Camilla felt so much pain, you have to understand what she has been trying to do for a very long time. Camilla, whose full name is Camilla Rosemary Shand, is now the Queen, but she had to walk through a very difficult path to get there. For many years, people were not very nice to her. She went from being someone people whispered about to being the king's wife. She had to deal with a lot of mean stories and scandals before people finally started to respect her. Her journey into the center of the royal family was not easy or smooth at all. It was like walking through a field full of hidden traps. Even though she is now the Queen and stands right next to King Charles, she still had a secret wish. People who know her well say she has spent a lot of time planning for something very personal. She wanted to see her own family, her own blood and her own children become a permanent part of the royal family's history. Camilla has 2 children from her first marriage to a man named Andrew Parker Bowles. Their names are Tom and Laura. Unlike Prince William and Prince Harry, Tom and Laura do not have royal titles. They are not called prince or princess. They do not do official royal work. The group that runs the palace, which people often call the firm, thinks of them as regular people or civilians. Even though they are Camilla's children, they are not seen as royal. Camilla has never liked thinking of her family that way. To her, they are the most important part of her life and her legacy. In the last few years, people who work inside the palace say she has been working very carefully to change how the palace sees them. She did not do this in a loud or bossy way. She was very sneaky and smart about it. She started by inviting her family to more royal events. She made sure that when people took family photos, her children and grandchildren were standing in the right spots. Her grandson, Freddie Parker Bowles, is a very polite and well-mannered boy. He grew up very close to the big castle at Windsor. Because of this, he started showing up more often at family parties. Camilla would make sure he was sitting near the most important people in the royal family. Many people who are friends with Camilla thought she was trying to show everyone that Freddie was a good choice to be a royal. She wanted him to be the face of her family and to bridge the gap between regular people and the royal family. She was very careful not to demand anything. One person who used to work at the palace said she never walked in and asked for titles for her grandkids. Instead, she just showed everyone that her family was helpful and deserved respect. The hidden message was always there. Her family could help the monarchy too. At private dinners and charity parties, Camilla would always talk about how well Freddie was doing. She even made sure that pictures of her grandchildren were put in the palace newsletters and on the holiday cards they send out at Christmas. Once Charles became the king, Camilla began to suggest even more that her family deserved a special place in this new chapter of history. According to someone who used to help at the palace, there were secret talks about giving Freddie a small title one day. They thought about making him a baron, which is a type of honor that is not as big as being a prince, but is still very special. They wanted it to be something ceremonial, which means it is mostly for show and tradition. They did not want to cause a big argument with the public, but they wanted Freddie to be listed in the official royal book. The person who worked there explained that it wasn't because they were greedy for power. It was because they wanted to feel like they truly belonged. Camilla knew people would always see her as the outsider queen, and she wanted to change that story by lifting up her grandkids. But even though Camilla was working quietly to get her family recognized, there were other people working just as quietly to stop her. Some of the most important people who helped Prince William did not like this idea at all. They believed that being a royal is all about who your parents and grandparents were. To them, the royal family is a blood institution. This means you have to be born into the family to have the special titles and the power. They knew that Camilla was the queen, but they believed her children and grandchildren were not royal by blood. They thought that if they started giving titles to people who weren't born into the Windsor family, it would make the monarchy feel less special and more confusing. This tension stayed hidden behind closed doors for a long time. Camilla was always very nice and polite, but she was also very determined. She used her power as queen to make small changes, like getting better seats at events or making sure her family was mentioned in small ways. King Charles was often caught in the middle. He loved his wife very much, but he also cared about the history of the royal family. Sometimes he would give Camilla what she wanted just to make her happy. But Charles is not the only person who gets to decide what the royal family looks like in the future. Prince William has a lot of say in that too. And from what we hear, William had no interest in making the royal family bigger by adding his step-family. Prince William sees the future very clearly. He wants the royal family to be smaller and tighter. He wants there to be fewer people with titles and fewer people doing official royal jobs. He thinks this will save money and make the public like the family more. This vision did not have any room for the Parker Bowles grandchildren, so for years, this disagreement just sat there. Camilla kept playing the long game, which means she was being patient and hoping that over time, people would change their minds. She hoped that because the king loved her, he would eventually make a space for her family. But then, the special name she wanted for Freddie was given to Prince George. It happened without any talk, without any warning, and without any explanation to her. For Camilla, this was not just a small disappointment. It was a very big no. It felt like a door being slammed in her face. She had spent her whole life trying to move away from bad stories and trying to earn her crown. This moment reminded her that, in the eyes of the palace rules, she might always be seen as a visitor, and it meant her grandchildren would always be seen as visitors too. To understand why Prince William and his wife Kate were so firm about this, you have to understand how they think. To the public, William and Kate seem very modern and friendly. They smile and talk to everyone, but behind the palace doors, they are very serious and careful about the rules. William and Kate have one big rule they follow. They want to protect the core royal family bloodline. They do not do this because they are mean or because they think they are better than everyone else. They do it because they want the royal family to stay strong. They think that if too many people get titles, the whole thing will start to fall apart. An insider said that they want the public to see the royal family as something very special and direct. To them, blood matters and history matters. This is where the disagreement with Queen Camilla really started to grow. Camilla liked the idea of a blended family where everyone was included. William and Kate wanted to stick to the old traditions where only the direct family counts. William is going to be the king one day, and he is already making plans. He wants to make the monarchy slimmer, which means having fewer people involved. He looks at how royal families in places like Sweden and Denmark do things. In those places, they have fewer royals and very clear rules about who gets a title. They do not give out special honors just because someone is a friend or a step relative. So when Camilla would suggest giving her grandkids a boost, William's team would usually just say no or not say anything at all. One person said that William did not even need to argue with her. He would just stay quiet, and his silence was enough to show that he did not agree. Princess Kate is also said to be uncomfortable with the idea of giving titles to people who are not royal by blood. She is not trying to be mean to Camilla's family, but she worries about how it looks to the public. In today's world, people watch the royal family very closely. If it looks like they are just giving out special titles to their favorite family members, the public might get angry and call it nepotism. This means giving jobs or honors to family members just because you like them. So, when Prince George got his new ceremonial title, it was a very big sign. It was a public way of saying that the future of the monarchy belongs to the Windsor family and not to the Parker Bowles family. Staff members at the palace say that William knew exactly how sad this would make Camilla, but he did not try to make it easier for her. Some people think he felt it was better to be honest now than to let her keep hoping for something that was never going to happen. One source said that William is not a cruel person, but he is not very sentimental either. This means he does not let his feelings get in the way of doing what he thinks is right for the crown. So, while the rest of the world was celebrating Prince George's new job, Camilla was crying inside her room. She felt like a line had been drawn in the sand. On one side was the blood family, and on the other side was her family. Right in the middle of all this is King Charles. He is in a very, very hard spot. He is the king of a whole country, but he is also a husband and a father. He is stuck between the woman he loves, Camilla, and the son who will take his place one day, William. Charles is usually seen as someone who keeps things calm, but this decision showed that William is starting to have a lot of power. It showed that even though Charles wears the crown right now, William is the one who is deciding what happens next. And William's plan for the future does not include giving titles to the Parker Bowles children. Camilla had always hoped Charles would help her. She would tell him her wishes very quietly. She never yelled or made demands. She just hoped for a little bit of recognition for her grandson Freddie. Charles would usually nod and say nice things to her. He would tell her that they would find the right moment to do something special. But when the time actually came to make a choice, Charles had to decide if he would listen to his wife or his son. If he gave Camilla what she wanted, he might make William very angry. If he listened to William, he knew it would break Camilla's heart. In the end, the king chose the crown. This means he chose to follow the rules of the monarchy instead of his wife's wishes. People say Charles even tried to suggest a middle ground. He thought about creating a very small, unimportant title for Freddie just to make Camilla happy. But William said no. William did not think there should be any compromise at all. He believed that giving titles to step-grandchildren was a very bad idea. He thought it would make the royal family look messy and would cause problems for years to come. Charles did not want to have a big fight with his son. He knows that the royal family needs to be united to survive, so he eventually agreed with William. This decision really hurt Camilla. She felt like it was a betrayal. She felt like her husband was not standing up for her or her family. For a woman who has stayed by Charles's side through so many hard times, this felt like a very sharp pain. She has been there for him when the media was mean and when his family was cold to her. She reportedly asked him if he even tried to fight for her family. One person working at the palace said they heard them talking about it. Charles was said to be very sad, but he did not apologize. He believed he was doing the right thing for history. Because of this, Camilla actually cancelled some of her royal jobs for a few days. She did not feel well enough to go out and smile. People noticed that she was acting very quiet and distant. For the first time in their long marriage, she might have felt like she could not fully trust the king to protect her heart. The king has had to make many hard choices in his life, but this one was different because it was so personal. It was not about politics, it was about family. Camilla felt like she had worked so hard to prove she belonged in the palace. She wore the crown and did everything that was asked of her. But now she realized that even though she is the queen, her family might never truly be accepted. The event where George got his title was supposed to be a small and serious occasion. It was meant to show that George is growing up and getting ready for his future as a leader. The public loved seeing it. It was a win for the palace because it made everyone feel good about the future king. But the way Camilla found out was the most painful part. She did not get a special letter or a private talk. She found out at the same time as everyone else by reading the news. Even though she is the queen, she was treated like a regular person who doesn't live in the palace. One person said that when she saw Prince George's name in the announcement, she just froze. She knew right then that her own family was being pushed to the side. That night, she finally let go of her brave face. She cried in her private room. She felt like her family was being erased from history. She told her close friends that it felt like all the hard work she had done was for nothing if her family couldn't be part of it. She had survived so much, people being mean to her in the newspapers and people not wanting her to marry Charles. She did all of that to get to where she is now. But a line has been drawn. Prince George is the favorite who is celebrated. Her grandson Freddie is invisible to the official rules. She felt like her opinion did not matter at all. The atmosphere in the palace that night was very quiet and heavy. Everyone could feel that the queen was very upset. Charles tried to make her feel better by explaining the rules of tradition, but it did not help. Camilla felt like she had been humiliated. The official reason given for her missing her meetings was that she was not feeling well, but everyone inside the palace knew the truth. She was not sick with a cold, she was sick with sadness. Her relationship with William and Kate also became even more difficult. Camilla saw this as a personal attack. She had climbed every step of the royal ladder, but she realized the ladder did not lead to a place where her family could follow her. Now, people are looking at what this means for the future. It shows that there is a big gap between the different generations of the family. On one side is William and Kate's vision of a modern, simple royal family. On the other side is Camilla's vision of a big, blended family. William is building a future that only focuses on the bloodline. This means that even as Camilla's grandkids grow up, they will always be on the outside. They might go to the same parties and eat the same food as George, Charlotte, and Louis, but they will never have the same respect. The message to them is very clear. This world is not yours. Some people think this is a good thing because it keeps the royal family from getting too big, but others worry that it will cause a lot of resentment. Freddie and the other grandkids are not little kids anymore. They are going to grow up and see their cousins getting all the honors while they get nothing. One person who knows the family wondered what will happen as the years go by. Feelings do not just go away because the palace stays quiet. For now, William's plan seems to be working. The people in England love his children and think they are doing a great job, but the emotional cost of this plan is very high. It is hurting the people inside the family. Camilla feels that pain right now. Her grandchildren might feel it later. Either way, the royal family is being split in two. The future will only be about the Windsor family. For Camilla, being queen was supposed to be a way to show that she had finally been accepted. She wanted her grandchildren to benefit from her long journey. She thought that by being a good queen, she could make things better for her own kids and grandkids. She didn't want them to be equal to the king, but she wanted them to have some symbol of respect. Instead, she was told no. The title given to Prince George was a big reminder of that. Her position is safe, but she feels very alone. She will still go to all the big events and wear her beautiful dresses and crowns. She will still smile for the cameras and stand next to King Charles, but she will do it knowing that her own family's story ends with her. The name Parker Bowles will never be part of the official royal history books. Her grandson will never have people bowing to him or giving him special honors. That is a very heavy thing to carry. In this new era, Camilla may be the one wearing the crown, but William and Kate are the ones who are in charge of the future. Their version of the monarchy does not have any room for step-families or exceptions to the rules. Camilla had a dream for a big, happy, blended family legacy. Instead, she had to face a very tough truth. She is the queen, but her family was never truly seen as royal. This is a story of a family divided and a dream that did not come true, even for a queen. It shows that even inside a big, beautiful palace, people can still feel very left out and very alone. As the years move forward, The world will keep watching Prince George as he learns how to be a king. They will see him get more titles and more important jobs. People will cheer for him and celebrate his life. And at the same time, Camilla's grandchildren will live their lives as regular people. They will have to find their own way in the world without any help from the royal name. This was the big change that William wanted, and it is the change that Charles allowed to happen. It is a new way of doing things that focuses only on the direct line of the family. It is a very strict rule, and it is a rule that has changed the family forever. Camilla will always remember that afternoon when she read the news and felt her heart break. She will remember the tears she cried and the feeling of being left out. Even as she continues to do her job as queen, that feeling will probably stay with her. It is a reminder that even the most powerful people in the world cannot always get what they want for the people they love. The royal family is a very complicated place, and sometimes the rules of the crown are more important than the feelings of a grandmother. This is the truth that Camilla has to live with every day as she sits on her throne. The crown is hers, but the future belongs to someone else. It is a very quiet and sad ending to the dream she had for her own bloodline. So when we see the royal family on television, and we see them all standing on the balcony of the palace, we should remember that there is more to the story than just what we see. We see the smiles and the beautiful clothes, but we don't always see the sadness or the disagreements. We don't see the tears that are shed when the cameras are turned off. The story of Queen Camilla and Prince George's title is a reminder that being royal is not always easy. It is full of hard choices and rules that can hurt people's feelings. It is a world where being a visitor can happen even to the Queen herself. And as the future comes, we will see if this choice was the right one for the monarchy or if it left a wound that will never truly heal. For now, the palace stays quiet, the rules stay the same, and the future moves forward without the Parker Bowles family. That is the way the story has been written, and it is the way it will stay for a long, long time to come. It is a story about a crown, a family, and the line that was drawn between them. And in the end, the crown always wins, even if it means someone has to cry behind closed doors. This is the reality of the royal family today, and it is a reality that Queen Camilla knows all too well. Her heart may be heavy, but she still has to stand tall and be the queen that the country expects her to be. That is her duty, and she will do it, even if she has to do it with a broken heart for her family.